Daredevil Born Again is the best Disney Plus show. Don't at me. All right. So, Daredevil Born Again is about Matt Murdock, a blonde lawyer by day and vigilante by night, protecting the streets of Hell Kitchen, New York. In this series, we're seeing his evolution as both a hero and as a person. The show picks up right after some of the key events that we're seeing in the Netflix series of season 3. Um, so, so first off, let's talk about the characters, right? Um, the performances in this show are honestly really good. Charlie Cox is Daredevil and Matt Murdock. He's always been a great character. Um, they brought his character to life so perfectly. Charlie Cox is back, and I gotta say he still got it, bro. He still got it. The emotional depth that he brings to the role is so good, and the way he balances being a compassionate lawyer with also being a relentless vigilante. It can. I don't know anybody that can pull it off as well as Charlie Cox. Like it's done so well. Um, Also, Vincent D'Onofrio is returning as Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin. Uh, his character is so funny. It's like he's a man child. He's a terrifying man child. Like that's what his depiction of the Kingpin reminds me of. And it's his acting. D'Onofrio's acting is so good, man. I just love it. Honestly, his version of Kingpin is a top 5 MCU villain. Now that this takes officially takes place in the MCU. I mean, technically, it was kind of confirmed in Spider-Man: No Way Home, but like this solidifies it. Um, of course, we also got some other people coming back as well. We got Deborah Ann Wool coming back as Karen Page, and then we got Odin Henson coming back as Foggy Nelson. Unfortunately, those two aren't in the series as much. And this video will contain spoilers, by the way. So, yeah. Uh, Kumar de la Reyes as Hector Ayales, I thought was great, really good. Rest in peace to him. He passed away of cancer. But he did such a great job depicting Hector. Um, really being able to express the pain and the desperation of the character. And I don't know, I think his acting was really good, and I wish we had gotten more of that character. Really great actor, really great actor. um of course, and then we have uh Wilson Bethel coming back as Bullseye. Is he's just as good as he was in season 3 of Daredevil. And of course, John Bernthal comes back as Frank Castle. Bro literally steals every scene he's in. Some of the best scenes are literally just him and Matt just talking. Like, I'm not even joking.
Don't get your hands on somebody, huh? Won't hurt them. Maybe a little bit scared. A little scared about what that means.
It's an interesting take. I like it. But yeah, no, sorry, buddy. Way off on that one.
You're so full of shit, counselor. So full of shit. You're guilty.
Excuse me?
Yeah. I guilt that shit, and that's my home, Red. And I can see it on you. I can smell it on you. It's all over you.
I'm gonna come back another day, Frank. Maybe catch you at a better time.
Literally just the two that just Matt and Frank just talking. Those are the best scenes in the show. Like, I'm not gonna lie. And I feel like some of the characters are a bit useless or unnecessary, if I'm being honest. Like Cherry, for example. Not saying that he's a bad character, but honestly, why couldn't Karen Page just be fulfill the role that he has in this show? Why can't Karen be the one to? Well, she already knows his identity, but why can't she be the one to keep um, Matt on the straight and narrow path, right? Like, if he's like, okay, I'm done being Daredevil, that's fine, right? But why do we have to have this random cop that I've never seen or know anything about be the one to like keep him on the straight and narrow path of being like, all right, like I understand you want to be Daredevil, handle this yourself, but just let the system handle it. Like, why can't that just be Karen? Why do we need this retired cop? And then Karen is also a journalist, so she could be the one to go out and get information from Matt that he would need. So I don't know. That's just personally how I feel. Um, Heather's Glenn character, the Heather Glenn character, she's okay. Like, um, I feel like her character is necessary for the stories that they're trying to tell, especially with Kingpin, with Wilson and Vanessa, right? But I wish her character's a bit shallow. Like, there's this thing, she doesn't like vigilantes, right? But it's not given any reason why. Like, she just hates them to hate them, and then the events of episode 7 kind of just solidifies that for her, right? That she hates vigilantes, right? But it's never truly explored, and her character's kind of like, yeah, it's not really good if I'm being honest. And like I said, her character is necessary for the storyline of Vanessa and Wilson. And let's go ahead and get into that, actually, the story. So this show takes place a couple of years after Daredevil season 3. Um, Matt, Karen, and Foggy, they're out on the town having, they just got off from work. They're going to Josie's bar. Shout out to Josie, celebrating. And Bullseye pulls up, Poindexter, he pulls up, and he ends up killing Foggy. And the fight between the two of them was so perfect. Like, sure, it was a little dark, but like, I don't know. I thought the fight was amazing. I love how during the fight, Matt is constantly listening to Foggy's heartbeat to check on him. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Charlie Cox himself was the person who actually came up with the idea to have Matt listen into Foggy's heartbeat as he's fighting Bullseye. Um, the emotions on that rooftop was amazing. Um, one little detail that I shouldn't laugh. I find it funny every time I go back and rewatch it because it just shows how funny of a character Bullseye is, or Poindexter is. When Matt is like screaming at the top of his lungs, like why, and he's like crying because Foggy's heart finally stops beating and he dies, and Matt is like crying and he's like why, and then like Bullseye just like pats him on his shoulder like, you'll be all right. Like that joke was like funny to me. Like it's not funny, but it was just a funny little detail that they added to that scene, and I feel like it just made that scene a lot even better, honestly. Um, but rest in peace to Foggy, man. Of course, I had already heard rumors that they were gonna kill off him and Karen. I was kind of scared about that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like the fact that they killed Foggy, but it happened, and here we are. So we just got to deal with it, right? And so Matt obviously is angry. He's sad. He's feeling all types of emotions, and he's on the rooftop with Poindexter. And Matt is at the point where, you know what, I'm done. And he just throws him off the roof. And it's so crazy because like I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. One thing about me is when I'm surprised by something, like, or if I'm not like when I get surprised, sometimes I'll laugh at stuff. I don't find it necessarily funny. It's just like, oh my god, like I can't believe it just happened. It's just a reaction I have. I laughed at that part. He was just like, Matt was just like, I'm done. It just like, I was like, what the heck? What is he doing? Um, but yeah, that scene was really great. So after that, Matt decides that there's a time jump. It's a 1 year time jump, and at this point, Matt has moved out of Hell's Kitchen. He's done being Daredevil. He's decided to give that up, and now he's working at a law firm with Kristen. So Matt starts a law firm with Kristen McDuffie. And the two of them have their own law firm, really nice. They're helping people just like, Matt always wanted to do with Foggy. And so one of the crazy storylines is that Wilson Fisk is running for mayor of New York. Now, this is something that was already been set up in Echo. If you didn't watch Echo, Kingpin plays a pretty good role in that show, in the series. But at the end of it, at the very end, he's like on an airplane on his way back to New York, I believe, and the election is coming up, so he decides to run. Of course, in the very first episode, he tells Vanessa, like, it's time, like, I got all the votes, I'm gonna run for mayor, and he wins the election. One thing I love so much about the show is the camera work, the lighting, the direction. It's so good. uh Whenever there's a scene with Matt and things are getting serious or intense, there's red light. When it's with Wilson, it's white light, and then when it's with Bullseye, it's blue light. I love what they do with the lighting. It's so cool. It's a really cool visual effect that they do throughout the series, throughout the episodes, and I really like it. Really enjoy it. Um, so yeah, so Wilson is running for mayor. He's coming, trying to learn, getting the ropes, right? And he realizes that being mayor is not too much different from being a mob boss, and so trying to be, now that he is mayor, he's trying to, fulfill promises that he's made to the city. And there's some people that just don't like him. Some of the higher ups don't like him. The commissioner does not like him. The commissioner, let's talk about him for a second. I like the fact that he is one of the only people in this show outside of Matt who will stand up to Wilson. He knows who he is, he knows what he's done, and he doesn't think that Wilson will change. And obviously, throughout these episodes, we learned that no, he will not change. He cannot change. So I loved the commissioner's character. Like, he was really good. And man, what happens to him at the end is crazy. But I like how he's like, like, I'm not, you're not fooling me. Like, you may got these other people fooled, but I know who you are. I know what you've done. I know you're been tied to this and that. Like, I don't rock with you at all. To the point where he even starts to resign, and then Wilson blackmails him, going back to his old Kingpin ways. He blackmails him into staying on as commissioner, because he threatens to kill his family. So really, really good. And then there's the Muse storyline. A painter, artist known as Muse, putting up murals all over New York City. Some of them are vigilantes, some of them are of Wilson as Mayor Fisk. And then we also have the trial of the White Tiger. Now, the trial of the White Tiger, I believe, was really good. I like Hector. I love how he was such a positive influence on his niece, um, Ava. And let's just be honest. Let's be real honest. Matt got that man killed. He got that man killed. I understand that he was running out of options. He was trying to save Hector. He wanted to win that case. But exposing Hector's identity, that was a crazy move, Matt. That's a crazy move. Um, but yeah, and seeing, Hector win the case, set free, and of course, the very first thing that he wants to do is go back out and help people as the White Tiger. And of course, he never gets that chance because he ends up getting shot by somebody with the Punisher logo. And that's when we get into I guess you could call it like the anti-vigilante task force part. So we find out that there are a group of cops who love the Punisher. For whatever reason, they worship Frank Castle. So a lot of them have his skull either tatted on them, like one has it on his neck, one has it on like his wrist or whatever. And then the person who ends up killing Hector, has the vest with the Punisher logo on it. So we find out that it was one of the crooked cops, and there are a bunch of crooked cops. Fisk wants to do is to make vigilantes outlaws. He wants to outlaw vigilantism, if that's a word. I think that it's a word. I just said it wrong, right? So he wants to get rid of, vigilantes. he makes references to the different vigilantes in New York City. He talks about a man with a skull on his chest, a man who wears devil horns, and a guy in a spider outfit, obviously referring to Punisher, Daredevil, and Spider-Man. So eventually, he actually puts together an anti-vigilante task force, which is full of cricket cops. Um, and they all wear the Punisher logo on their vest. I think it's really cool. I love how Frank calls them out on it. He's like, "Yeah, they're just a bunch of fanboys." And then, like in the final episode, like he's like, "Yeah, I'm not holding back on any of these guys. Like, I don't rock with it." So let's get to the Muse storyline because I thought that that was really going to be like one of the main plots of the series of the season, and it kind of isn't. It's very disappointing, really. I hate when a character looks like they jumped right out of the comics and onto the screen, and then the character just gets wasted because Muse is so comic accurate and look how Muse uses like he's accurate to the comics like visually and how he's true to the to his comic book counterpart where he takes his victim's blood and he makes you know paints and makes murals and arts with their blood, right? And I I feel like I personally believe that Muse should have been kept around as a recurring villain for Matt. And I understand that the show is a combination of the old creative team and the new one, and some things got rearranged. And I know Kevin Feige, he didn't like some of the things that they were doing, and so Muse is really wasted potential. I mean, his very first fight with Daredevil is peak. Like when Matt hits this, amazing, amazing. But I knew his character was gonna be rushed in one when we didn't really see we got him gradually. I think in like season episode 3, and then episode 4 we got like a little bit more. And I'm like, all right, episode 4, we're already halfway through the season right now. So like, what are we doing with Muse as a character? And then we get like his whole backstory is just told to us too. I was like, okay, yeah. So his character really isn't going to be that important, really. I mean, I like the fact that that going back to the trial of the White Tiger, it connecting to that with Ava, realizing that the cops were the ones that killed her uncle, and she's like, well, and she goes to Matt for help, and he's like, I can't really help you, even though he can as Daredevil, but she doesn't know he's Daredevil, and so she's like, you know what, my uncle told me, don't try to rely on others to do things for you that you could just do yourself, and so she tries to look for evidence she tries to look for evidence against Muse because she knows that like her uncle was on to Muse. He knew about the kidnappings and he was eventually trying to find get to the bottom of it. And so Ava tries to do it herself and she ends up getting kidnapped by Matt. And so when when her aunt calls Matt and is like, she hasn't come home yet, have you seen, I know she went to go see you, and Matt decides to call the police. And he's like, you know what? No, I'm gonna handle it myself. And more than likely, it was because of the guilt he felt for, Hector being killed, which is understandable. And man, like the fight with him and Muse was great. Even their second fight, when Muse goes after Heather, um, I still don't fully understand what the point of that was. Muse was it's such wasted potential. Like it could have been so much more done with his character, but he goes to meet with Heather because he has an appointment. He ends up trying to like take blood from her and to use her blood for more of his murals. And Daredevil comes up and he stops him, but ultimately Heather ends up killing Muse with the gun that he had brought. So and it just like I said earlier, it really just emphasizes now her hatred for vigilantes because she ends up throwing Daredevil and Muse in the same box. She's like, well, yeah, Daredevil and Muse is the same different sides of the same coin. Like they're really the same thing. And Matt is like, no, not really. Like Daredevil came there to save you. Muse was there to kill you. But I don't know. She just has this hatred for vigilantes. And again, I feel like that could have been explored more. And let's talk about Wilson Fisk. I haven't talked about him too much. Outside of him being mayor, we learned that him and Vanessa are having some problems in their marriage. She ends up cheating on him while he is away. He goes in after the events of Echo. If you didn't know, he actually gets shot at the end of that show by dang, what's her name? I forgot Echo's real name. What's her actual name? I forgot. Sorry, but I forgot it. But he gets shot by her, and so he leaves for like a little bit. I think for maybe like a year or something. I think Vanessa said it was like a year he had left, and so she ends up cheating on him, and so they go to Heather because Heather is a counselor and a therapist. So she tries to to help them with their marriage problems, and so I thought that storyline was very interesting. And then, we find out that, Vanessa cheated on Wilson with some guy named Adam. And then we eventually learned that Wilson has had this dude locked up in like this tiny prison in Red Hook, which is like this area, this area in New York where uh, Vanessa had been, laundering a lot of money. So the fight between Adam and Wilson is so crazy. Like when he came down the stairs with the axe, I thought Adam was just dead. But Wilson, one thing that I love about Wilson is that he keeps his promises to his wife, and I love that. He may break a lot of promises, he may hurt a lot of people, but one person he will not hurt is her. And technically he has, but of course it wasn't his intention when he left her because she talks about how it reminded her of her father, who would treat her mother wrong and he would leave. And so like she was like it made me think of that. And so it hurt her knowing that her husband just went and just left her and didn't say anything, didn't communicate with her. And so and I think it's in episode 1 where she's like where Kingpin tells Vanessa like, yeah, I know about Adam, and she's like, don't kill him, and he doesn't. He doesn't kill him. He doesn't kill Adam at all. But Vanessa does. that scene where or eventually they're both down there and he reveals to her like he's been holding Adam captive. He's like, I need you to make a choice because honestly I can't move on with him around, you know. And so it's interesting. I love that about it. Makes Wilson's character so complex that he's this ruthless person, but like when it comes to Vanessa, he's like the most soft person ever. And like in that scene where him and Adam are fighting, like he's hitting Adam, like he's throwing him out the wall and stuff. I'm like, how is this dude still alive? But he keeps his promise and he doesn't kill her. I mean, I'm sorry, kill Adam. He doesn't kill Adam. So the action in the show is way more experimental than the Daredevil show. Um, I feel like I like it. Some of it feels a little weird. Like when Matt comes charging at Muse, it looks very weird. Like the CG looks very weird. Like it doesn't look that great. And I feel like with season 2, they'll probably perfect that. Because it wasn't terrible. It just looked weird. But the fighting is just as brutal and crazy as it was action in the first 3 seasons. All right, so I had to film this last part separately. I just want to give my overall thoughts on the show. I take back what I said at the beginning of the video, saying that it was the best Disney Plus show. I don't know how, but I forgot that Loki existed, which is the best Marvel Disney Plus show. But I think Daredevil Born Again is excellent. A lot of people are calling it a mess, and I don't. Yeah, it is to some extent, but I don't know what you expect when like a lot of this stuff was shot, and then they were like halfway through, they were like, "Oh, we don't really like any of this," and so they had to like revamp some stuff, and I understand that, and so I didn't expect it to be perfect. I think if it's well with the Netflix stuff, um, it doesn't feel exactly like the Netflix TV show, but it's close enough to where like I could like it doesn't take me out of it, it doesn't take me out of the story. Um, a few critiques I have. Some of uh like the BB report stuff, I thought was kind of cool. It was kind of cool to see some of that stuff that's different. It threw me off a little bit because it's something I wasn't used to with the old show, but this is a different show. I think the finale. I think those last two episodes were perfect. 10 out of 10s each, both of them. Um, and I love the dynamic. I love that the fact that they pretty much did what they did in the Netflix show too, is where it seems like every season, like Matt like becomes the underdog towards the end of the season, and it feels more like that than it ever has with this current season, right? With Fisk truly having complete control over New York, he controls the police. He's got a Red Hook. Like he pretty much is the kingpin that we know in the comics. He's finally that. We finally get to see that, and I'm excited to see what they do going forward with season two. Um, Spoilers for season two, but it looks like because they're filming currently, he's finally getting the double D's, which is pretty cool. I don't know why it took, you know, 4 seasons of the show for us to finally get there, but we got there. That's pretty cool. I think season two will definitely be a lot better now that the Netflix team is back, you know, making the show. Um, Honestly, I think Daredevil might be currently might be my favorite Marvel hero in the MCU because for the longest time it was Captain America, but Steve Rogers is retired now, and I think Sam is a good backup, but he's still not. I also have some bias too because Chris Evans is one of my favorite actors, so um, but I think currently Daredevil is definitely my favorite hero in the MCU. Um, just going back and rewatching the first 3 seasons before Born Again came out was really nice. Real nice refresher. It brought me back into Hell's Kitchen, and like it's just such a great show. And I think that Born Again, even though it didn't fully reach the potential of the Netflix show, it's very close. And I think season two, we would definitely get that feel back with some of the new stuff added in there as well, but it'll be handled better. So if you're feeling skeptical about watching the show, I give it a try. It's not the exact same, but it's time has gone by. The characters have changed and evolved. We as people have changed and evolved here in real life. So just give it a chance. I give it like a, I give it like a 8 out of 10. I give the original Netflix show, seasons 1 and 3. Those seasons, I give them like, I'm not gonna lie, those seasons were perfect. I give them both 10 out of 10. Season two is like it's like a 7 or 8, and I feel like Born Again is on that same level. I also like what they're doing with like having Matt interact with like the young heroes in the MCU. First, he was Peter Parker's lawyer, and now he's Matt Kamala Khan's father. And at the end of, I think that was episode 4, whatever episode the bank heist was. Like her father invites Matt over for dinner. It'd be cool if Matt became like the mentor to the younger, the young Avengers. If I don't think that's what they're going to be called though. I think they're going to call them champions or something. But it'd be cool if Matt was like their mentor. I think that would be a pretty cool idea. But yeah, that's all I got for Daredevil Born Again, season 1. Again, I think it was really good. It gave me that Netflix feeling a little bit with a new twist on it. Like I said, I think it'll definitely improve in season 2. So I'm out of here. Peace.